Hello, Patrick Celine here, wanting to take a moment to address a question that's rising up in our conscious connected breathing community around uh, the holy grail in some ways of inner work or entheogenic work or soul searching, and it's the topic of integration in the sense of how can I bring into my lived conscious experience the transcendent, supernatural, uh, beautiful, blissful, positive experiences that we begin to touch and taste in moments of shifting out of our bondage to who we think we are. A metaphor or an analogy that I want to offer here to help guide this inquiry is of the caterpillar cocoon butterfly story and process that we know is happening all around us. If by integration we're meaning a caterpillar asking how it can integrate butterfly like experiences back into its caterpillar life, we're going to experience some challenges because the caterpillar isn't capable of flying. And so when we ask this question of how do I integrate X, Y, or Z, I first invite us to pause and notice who it is that's asking. The moment that we pause and ask that question, we open ourselves up to encounter the voice or the part of our psyche that feels separate or disconnected, disintegrated from the whole. This is a good place to start. We might think it's the same question all the time and that it's a scientific question that just has one answer. But the reality is that we're talking about a limited capacity of knowing, a limited understanding of the self, asking a grander question of a practice or of science or of God, of a plant, wanting to instill or integrate the essence of what it knows or of what is into a limited experience. And this is the human experience. This is pure consciousness coming into human form, knowing that it's limited. This is a limited yet beautiful and very capable vehicle of experiencing the world of form, but we're still talking about the world of form. All that said, on a human level, if we really are interested in incorporating or integrating a deeper, more expansive wisdom about who and what we really are, I would encourage us to shift through practice of bringing awareness, mindfulness to who it is that's asking this question within us about integration. Maybe we take a moment to inquire, and there's a sense of, if I could integrate this one piece, I would be more lovable, or I would be more powerful, or I would be more perfect, or the list goes on and on. If this is what we're talking about, we're only ever going to get to a breaking point or to a cliff edge of the separate mind, the left hemisphere's own limitation in having a right-brained experience, in having an expansive, connected to the all experience, which is part of what the inquiry often is, as I hear it, both in my own life and in the life of my community. We want to integrate or almost steal bits of heaven and to bring it back into our limited life, because we think that we can control and hoard and hold on to these things that are precious. But anything that's precious and that we could possibly desire is already, at its essence, in its purest essence, is what we already are. It just is a bit of a jumble, is a bit of a confusing inquiry when we're identified with the one that thinks it needs to integrate something to be more, again, fill in the blank, lovable, more acceptable, whatever, enough. The truth is that we're essentially this butterfly self, this consciousness, this free, fluttering, flowing isness, beautiful, having a caterpillar experience. The metaphor breaks down eventually because, right, the butterfly eventually dies, but to use this as a spectrum of consciousness or a spectrum of experience, we're asking the question from here eventually. Our identification with the caterpillar starts to shift. We let go of the pain and the suffering and the memories of the caterpillar self that brought us to the cocoon. And as we start to identify with our butterfly self, we can start to ask very different integration questions. What does it mean to have compassion for this body mind as it has its experiences of limitation, or as it experiences recurring sensations or patterns of trauma or of neglect? These questions are part of the continuum of growth into a very integrated psyche. An integrated human experience will always be limited, but in a very beautiful way as we start to connect the dots and see more relationship, not just within our own body mind. It begins there, particularly with a practice like conscious connected breathing. We're breathing higher vibrational energy and life force through the breath into our body, and creating the capacity and the safety within a gentle connected rhythm of breath for the body to start to experience these higher vibrational qualities. So as we deepen this practice and as we clear away some of the stagnant energies, the old stories, the negative beliefs about ourselves, we can have some compassion and grace as we ask these questions, or as we share from a place of authenticity what it's feeling like to come from these inferior or limited experiences of ourself. We invite them into integration. In a quantum physics perspective, it's the law of entrainment, inviting the lower vibration into consonance, into cohesion with the higher vibration. In neurobiology, we have very many domains of integration, both the integration of consciousness and being able just to observe awareness. To be aware of awareness is one aspect of integration. Many times the beginning of this deeper inquiry of how can I find ways not only to be aware of consciousness, but to integrate my left and right hemisphere experiences of who I am, my analytical, logistical self, with my creative, expansive experience of myself. How can I start? And as we ask these questions, just those questions, particularly the more personal and authentic and vulnerable they are, we're creating a capacity for new neural connection across hemispheres, and also vertically from our more formal operative way of knowing things, our frontal lobe, our prefrontal cortex, and engaging in a vertical way these deeper, more instinctual, intuitive ways of knowing deeper in our body mind. I hope that is a helpful metaphor and a popcorn of ideas around integration, and how to just be very patient and gentle with ourselves, but diligent and consistent with the practice that helps us to heal this illusion of separateness from the self that we're wanting to integrate. Thank you for listening. Please, as always, feel free to offer your own perspectives and questions in the comments on the thread of this video so that we can all learn together and increase and expand our capacity to know how wonderful we are.